Welcome back to
London accent good.
Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Melfield back at the home of a man.
Celebrity Radio? Where we got to find a celebrity, quick.
Indeed we have, and we've got one for you. One of my favourite people, Carrot Top. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming tonight. It was a fun night. My mom was there. Very stressful.
Yeah. Does it add an extra pressure? There she is, the lady who created you, and there you are, effing and blinding and making hundreds of people laugh.
Penises coming out of boxes. So it makes it a little more interesting. But no, my mom is awesome. I mean, I honestly... I remember the first show that I ever performed at, and it was on New Year's Eve in Fort Myers, Florida, and she came to it, and I had literally 4 jokes, and I had to do like 45 minutes, and I remember my mom she was in the audience, and I was like, oh God, it was like, I wasn't quite ready for this stage, you know, and then all of a sudden, people started shooting off bottles, you know, it's New Year's Eve, and they're party favors, and so it turned into this whole big party, and I didn't have to, there's really not a lot of pressure for me to perform, it was just a bunch of madness. So tonight, my first thing my mom said, she's like, oh my God, look where you've come from, that show. She remembered it before I even said it. She's like, remember the first time I saw you? And I said, yeah. Wow. So it's cool.
How often does she get to see the show?
We only allow her to come no, she comes whenever she wants. She lives in town, so she mixes it up, and she brought all of her friends tonight.
Well, that's what's cool. I sat directly behind her, and there she was, guffawing as much as everybody else in the audience.
I actually saw her do a head bob. I'm not even kidding you. I said, my mom just head bobbed, like, and I remember what joke it was. I'm like, that got her. Like, she just loved that joke.
I did notice it was normally the muckier the joke, the more she laughed.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you know,
that's worrying.
Create me. Well, that's me.
The apple doesn't fall that far from the tree, does it? Hey, listen, I spoke to you this time last year, and you've still not got a proper job. You're here at the Luxor doing this show, which tonight was sold out, and probably one of the best audiences I've ever seen ever in Las Vegas. They were behind you from second one, weren't they?
I got to agree with you. Yeah, I came off, and the first thing I said to my people, I said, that was the best show my mom has seen, probably. And she's seen a lot of shows, but it was a good flow. I had a good flow, and there was nothing really went wrong. As far as the audience knew, we had a few things that went wrong, but yeah, it worked out for the most part.
Well, the great thing about your show is it could all go wrong, and we wouldn't know because you make it go right again.
That's how I wrote it. That's exactly how I made it. So if I screw up, it's kind of part of the show. So it actually does work out that way. One of my favorite comics growing up was Johnny Carson, and when I watched him do his monologue, the funnier monologues were the ones where he had the jokes didn't work, and he would have that look over to the band. And I do that to my sound guy, which is funny because I always gesture over to him like, you know, like this, like they do with the band. It's kind of a fun thing that I picked up from being a kid. But yeah, sometimes the whole show can't be that. You can have one joke that eats it, and you kind of go, okay, that was sucked, right? But if the whole show's that way, it's not good. So it's fun to have. And we have a couple built-in ones that always don't work, and that's why I like doing them, because it's kind of, I know it's not going to work.
Well, that's your excuse anyway.
Yeah, indeed.
It's a sad week, really. I just watched Letterman on Tuesday night, and there was Stun and Rickles, and it was a car crash for me because it was just so sad. Late night for me is finished as that generation. It's a new generation now, but it's different, isn't it? It's not like the Carson days, the Letterman days, the Leno days.
No, it will. I really, honestly, it is sad because I don't think you're going to get that again. The shows that, even as much as I love Jimmy Fallon, it doesn't have that. Letterman still has that, and watching. That's funny you say that, because watching the Stern Rickles one, it was beautiful, wasn't it? I think one of the things I noticed, because I've done a lot of these shows, I've done all the ones that you're talking about, is I think that with Letterman and Carson, it was never about them, it was about the guests. And so the guests were the ones that, it was the moment for them. And so, like, if you watch Letterman, he let Rickles do his shtick. He didn't cut him off. If you notice, he was, I'll be with you in a second. Who's this guy? So, and then Letterman just sat back there and was like, okay, let him moment. And whereas some of the newer guys, it's all about them. So I think that's it's interesting, and it's sad because I think you can't teach that kind of comedy.
And it's charisma as well. I mean, he owns that stage, and he's so in charge. I mean, even with someone like Stern who wouldn't shut up.
That was great. Because when Stern started saying, Dave, yeah, he put him right back in his place.
How intimidating is it when you're stood in the wings, whether it be at the Ed Sullivan Theatre or Leno's studio in LA, and they say, and here he is, Carrot Top? I mean, is there any more buttock-clenching moment than that?
No, it's the strangest thing ever. And you never get used to it. That's the weird thing. You never, or at least I don't. I'd never ever ask anybody that. But I did, like, I don't know, I'm at 30 Jay Leno shows, and every time I did it, it was that moment. And I always have a bottle of water, and I'm always so dehydrated. I'm so, it's not nervous as it is, because I know the act. I know I'm not going to mess that up. It's just, I always think, oh, everyone's watching. Like you could think, you know, it's not just like the audience. I always forget just the studio audience. There's like 200 people. But there's millions of people watching. So then you start going, oh, crap. Then you really start getting nervous because you're like, oh. So I try not to. I try to just zone it out and say, I'm going to do like the Luxor. I'm going on stage at the Luxor, and I'm going to have fun with it. And I started getting that way towards the end with Jay. When I'd go in with him, he was such a buddy to me that I didn't get all worked up. But the first Tonight Show was definitely, yeah, you're just sweaty palms and you're just dry mouth, and it's horrible.
And I guess you don't want to let them down either, because you know when you've bombed on those shows and you see it from time to time, it must be so disheartening.
Yeah. Thank God I never did. Did I bomb? No, I hope I didn't. But there's one or two that you do that you're like, that wasn't the hottest set that I've ever done.
Well, that was Stern's worry. I heard him on his radio show the day before, and he said, listen, I've done so many great ones, I don't want the last one to be the worst.
Yeah, is that what he said?
Yeah, it's a pressure, isn't it? Because when you've done so well, that's going to be your legacy.
It is. You're right, and you build that your legacy up to what's unfortunate to be that last moment, and it's so much pressure. Just like with I'm thinking like an athlete, Shaun White. You know, is his last jump on a snowboard. Right. He's had 100 gold medals, and the last one he wipes out, and you're like, God, wouldn't it be like Michael Jordan had that? He had the infamous. The last shot of his career was like from 100 yards away, and he threw it up, and he had his hand up, number one, and it went in. And you get chills just saying it, but you're like, that's how you end your career. Elway, remember, he won his second Super Bowl, and he hit a hit and did a flip. You're just like, holy, not everybody has that moment. So yeah, that's why tonight's my last show. I quit.
No, you mustn't. And I'll tell you why. We spoke a year ago, and since then, I saw that Oprah thing you did. It's the same sort of league. When she walks into your home, the Oprah Winfrey, again, do you pinch yourself and think...
Lock all your stuff up. Yeah, lock all your stuff up. Hold on to your wallet. It was unbelievable. And it's a moment that you really do. That's one of the pinch yourself moments, where you really do think, holy crap, Chris Rock had a great analogy about that in one of his specials, and I always thought it was brilliant. He said, so-and-so is rich. They're talking about rich people, and they're talking about wealthy. And he says, rich. Bill Gates is rich. Oprah is wealthy. Like, the whole thing about just being rich is one thing, but being wealthy. Right. There's more than just being money. But, at the end of the day, I'm sure it's not about money with her either. I think she enjoys probably doing what she does, and she's lucky to have the wealth that comes with it. But
it's the difference between wondering which airline you're going to fly first class with and just having your own jet ready to go wherever you want.
Exactly. Yes. There used to be a joke when it said Ted. I used to say, Ted, who the fuck is Ted? He's got his own jet. And it turned out it was United had a line called Ted. Who the fuck is Ted?
That was your first.
How come he has his own jet? What the fuck?
I love how you come on, and one of your killer jokes is that Delta line that you do at the beginning. And because it's so relatable, and this is a transient town, people are coming and going, you start off talking about the Strip, and every gag is killer. And then you talk about the airlines, and we all go through it now. It's so relatable, your stuff. And through your show, that's sort of the key to your success. Next to me was a 25-year-old guy. In front of me was your mother, who's 45. To the right of me, you know what I mean? There's people all ages, but it's relatable. I guess that's the key to your comedy, isn't it? Everybody's got to be on the same page.
Well, I have to tell you, that's growing up watching comedy. I was always a big fan of the ones that had jokes where you hit your buddy next to you and said, "Oh my God, that happened to me." So it's relatable. So it's topical things that you might know. I was singing in the car at a song, or traveling. And I think with Vegas more than anywhere else, I think it's very important because exactly what you just said. There's so many different peoples and generations of people. So it's kind of hard to make a show relatable to all those age groups, and so it's been a work in progress. When I first started doing my first shows I ever did was all where I started making it was colleges. I got booked in all these colleges, and I remember playing to these massive crowds, like 3,000-4,000 people, but it's all kids 18 to 20 years old. So it was like bong jokes and drinking jokes but it would kill. But if I went to the club the next week and did that same show in front of the club with the variety of ages, it didn't do nothing. You get nothing. So that's what's important about trying to hone a show that's kind of for every age group. And Vegas has done that for me, because before Vegas, I was just on the road, and my fans would come, and they would be different ages. But this is, like you said, literally, and even people that might not speak English, last night we had from London. We're sitting in the front row. I said, "Where are you from?" They said, "London." I said, "Oh, across the pond." And they were laughing. I said, "How was my London accent?" I said, "All right, yeah, it's good, yeah." And they were making fun of me, and they said, "No, it's good, yeah, it's good, mate." And then so and tonight was a good example of that too. And it's like that every night in this room. There's 21-year-olds. How old are you? 21. Behind them was 70-year-olds, and then 40-year-olds, and 20-year-olds, and 60-year-olds. So for me, I think it's more fun to be able to try to get them all to laugh as a group as opposed to an age group.
And I wonder how it feels when that energy is right and the alchemy works. Tonight, I mean, there was such a feeling of energy from the second you walked on. They were right behind you. I guess you know within a few gags whether it's going to be hard work.
I know the first second. I'm not kidding you. And I say it to my guy Jeff. I think it's Jeff, right? I don't know. I don't know the people's names. They should wear name tags. I don't know who they are. But he walks me up there, and I always say the same thing. I say, "Ooh, they sound good. Or they sound quiet." Because I kind of judge off my opener as to what the energy level. Because sometimes they're there to see me, so you can never judge off the opening act because sometimes they're just waiting to see me, or sometimes they want to see him and not me.
Right.
To be honest with you,
I was hoping for that tonight. Would have been quicker getting to the interview. That's what I thought.
Yeah, you're funny.
Well, sarcastic, not funny.
But I know within the second, and I say it every night. I even said it tonight. I said I'll know with that first joke. I know with the first joke. I mean, the first word out, I know.
How many jokes are there in the show? I was trying to add up. I think I got to about 3,000 and gave up. I mean, the props are remarkable. I mean, where else do you get a walker with a dildo on it? Let's face it, this is unique. Killer, killer, killer all the way through. Have you added them up? How many are there?
No, I've never added them up. I've never had the energy or the patience to do that. But I have a warehouse full of other stuff that's not even in the show. And the rest of the trunks, they're all full. They only skim. So I don't get through not even a third of the props. So it's nice to have that arsenal there. So if you want to do something, like sometimes the crowds might be crazy, I might go into. I used to have an X-rated trunk. It was called the X-Box, and it was all just horror, like dildos and things. And I should bring that back because it was really fun on a night like tonight when they were out. I said, "Who wants the X-Box?" And it was like this sex music was on, and the X's would come up, and I started doing it. And they would go either if they didn't start like it, I just go out of it. But going back to what you said about knowing the first word out, if they're going to be good or not, I've also learned from, I don't know where I ever learned this from, I think of it more of a sports analogy than I do entertainment, is it's how you finish and not how you start. Because there's been so many times that the show's started and the crowd might be flat, they're just the energy's not there, or they're just trying to figure out what's going on, the likability factor between both of us, whether they like me or I like them. And then as the show progresses, it might turn. I always say it took a 2 and I always say I'm going to take a 2 to a 10, because you can take a 2 to a 10 if you really work them. Sometimes you have to really work them. And so with sports, I think that's a lot of cases. Like in NASCAR, they're down 2 laps, and they end up winning the race, doing 2 laps down at one point of the race because they didn't give up and they just totally believe. That sounds so cliche and so gay, but it's true. Because you never give up. And in life, with cancer, with jokes, if you really honestly go, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to go, 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 you might get them. Last night was a good example of that. The crowd was really just kind of flat and not there. And it was just because, I don't know, you just never know, the mood. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the show, I kept going, and the finale, and they all stood up. And I walked over, and I was like, holy crap, I'm so glad that I kept going and not giving up on them,
Exactly. You can't give up, and that's your job, and that's why at the end of it, these people do give you a standing ovation. I know a big part of the act is your look, your appearance, and of course your hair, i.e. Carrot Top. Well, you say good looks, especially with this hat on as well, but we'll get to that later.
I have some stupid hat on.
Is that necessary?
Yes. No, it's not.
It's not at all. No, honestly, leave it on. No, it's better. No, it covers more of the hair, and we do have this affliction, you and I. I noticed yesterday you were in the headlines because you wisely noticed that on the iPhone and things, there are no ginger people to send as sort of mockery on these emojis. I think that's what you call them.
Emoji, yeah. Which is funny because I had said this maybe about a month ago when they had that new collection of them came out. I was with friends, and everybody was making fun of the fact that you could take someone's skin and change the color of the skin and their hair color. And then a friend of mine says, well, how come they don't have a fat emoji? And I said, well, they can't have a fat emoji. And they said, well, why? Because if you've ate too much, like I always finish eat dinner and and I said, well, it's PC, but they should. If they have a guy in a turban, they have, So then I think, did they come to us? Time Magazine came to us, or did we present that to them? They came to us and they said, do you want to, be in, I said, Carrot Tops and Time Magazine? Fuck yeah, I'm doing this. So, yeah, I've had so many people reach out to me, some of my big celebrity friends that read it, and they're like, dude, you're in Time Magazine? That's like huge. And I said, yeah, I know, trust me. That was the whole, we wrote it, Molly wrote the whole thing. But at the end of it, when I wanted to be a joke, the most important question is, how the fuck did Carrot Top make it in Time Magazine? And they didn't want to use that, I guess, because they thought it might be.
Well, I'm thinking next, so we've got that sorted then with the emoji. What about trying to get some welfare and benefits for ginger people? I mean, or the disabled spot in the car parks at supermarkets. I mean, this could be a crusade for gingers, couldn't it?
That's hilarious. Ginger parking. Yeah. That's hilarious. I mean, we do deserve it. We have been abused our whole lives. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Handicap parking and then ginger parking.
People think it's jokes, but it's reality.
I have a placard. I have a placard to park here.
You have a wheelchair. You have a baby with you. I have ginger hair. I think it's all on the level playing.
That's a funny skit. We should pitch that to like Jon Stewart or something before he leaves.
Yeah, exactly. He's off as well. Yeah. Hey, listen, last year I came away from this show and I said, okay, he's got to be Best Comedian Las Vegas 2014, because you were. And again tonight, I crown you Best Comedian 2015. You truly are. I've seen 100 shows on this strip. There's nobody who quite does it like you. And I hope you know how special you are, A, to get the audience size that you do, because a lot of these showrooms are half empty, and B, the reaction you get even by the end. Tonight was by the start, but I mean, it is extraordinary. I hope you know that.
Thank you. I didn't know that. Now I feel better. I can't wait till tomorrow. No, I do know that. I think it's interesting because I've gone to shows, and it's taken a lot of years to realize how this works, this whole business works, because when I've been doing it for a long time, and I think for the first few years I took it for granted and just did it. And then I went to shows. One of the best ones, well, most recent ones, I guess, was I went and saw Elton John, and he's like, like God to me. I went to the show and he's unbelievable. When he puts on the show, you just can't believe. You talk about a show, every song, the crowd stands after every song. So I went to the show and no one stood after, like, there was 4 songs in, and there was not one person that stood, because I've seen the show 1,000 times. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, like, I know he's up there thinking it's a shit fucking show. But he never showed it. He kept going to the next song, and he did, Piano Man, he did fucking Freville, Dog, about your freedom, and he got done. And he does this thing too, where it's really cute. He kind of gestures. He stands on top of the piano, and he goes, "Come on!" And no one stood. Me, I was standing. He kept looking at me. I was standing, going, and I remember looking around, going, "What the fuck?" I thought it was standing behind me. And then I noticed he said to the band, he said, "It's an all skate." And only I saw him say it, or I heard him, but no one picked up on it. I think just people in Vegas saying, But I heard him say, we're all skates. So after the show, I went and talked to his piano friend, who's a friend of mine, and I said, that was a weird crowd. And he's like, did you think so? And I said, yeah. He's like, that's interesting you say that. And I said, why? He says, because that was maybe the worst crowd we've had in a long time. I said, but that's so weird. Why? He said, I don't know, it's Vegas. And I said, so we were going to this whole discussion. So then I said, did all skate mean to the band an inside joke saying it's an all skate, meaning... And he said, yeah, you heard that? And I said, yeah. He said, you're good. And I'm like, well, I just heard him say, it's an all skate, yeah. And it was like, kind of like, they had so much fun after he said that, because the band was all in on, they all had fun with themselves, and they entertained themselves to get through the show. So, and I saw that at Brooks and Dunn one time. He said it's like pushing rope, and so I started using that too. If we have a show one night, so I say all skate or pushing rope, or sometimes I'll just say, well, thanks for the quiet place to fucking practice. You know, but I try not to do that too often, because then the crowd knows, you know, and so it's better to say nothing and just let the joke be the inside on, with my crew and my and not the crowd. Because there's been too many times I've done shows in this, especially in this room, where you just can't wait to go home and hang yourself, and you get done with the show and they're all fucking, that was the best show ever, and you're like, what? Yeah,
so tell your face.
Yeah, the old joke. You having a good time? We'll tell your face. But you don't know, so you just can't ever think that way anymore. So I don't ever do that anymore. I just go, and then at the end, then if it does suck, then I go, okay, we were right. They sucked, but oh well, we had fun. Now I'm having a glass of Crown.
Hey, listen, thank you for your time. Congratulations on again having the best comedy show in Las Vegas by far. I'm telling you, such a talent. Carrot Top here at Luxor, Las Vegas. Find him by going to carrottop.com.
Carrottop.com.
Great. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Bye.